Good evening, one and all present here. I am Jayant Rathi, representing GDSC BVCOE. This session is in collaboration with GDSC SITS. I would like to introduce the speaker of the day. His name is Vinay and he is an Android lead at GDSC SITS. He is passionate about Android and cross platform development. He is also good at Linux kernel, and Android OS. Hello, Vinay. We are glad to have you here. You may proceed with the session.
Hey Jen, thank you for having me, and I would like to thank everyone for joining today. In this session, we will be having a hands-on session on Dart programming language, which is the main language used behind the Flutter for developing great Flutter apps. So, what are Flutter and Dart labs? So, Google made a platform which is known as. Hello, Jen, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So Google made a platform which is called as Google Cloud Skill Boost, where Google is developing various labs and hands-on labs where which you can attend and gain experience in specific skills. Actually, these all these labs are paid, but for Flutter Festival, Google has given us free access to these labs till 1st May. So, for getting access to these labs, these are few steps which you have to follow. The first step is to visit the link which is given, which is visible on YouTube. You can see, which is https://www.cloudskillboost.google. And Jess, can you please post this link in chat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so after opening the link, you will see two options which are join and sign in. You have to click on join, and then you have to provide your mail ID, enter password, and you will have successfully created your account on Google Cloud Skill Boost. Then then we will be sharing two to three to four links. Jayesh, can you please share that four links too?
Yeah, sure, on it. 1 second.
The lab links, Dart
Yes,
Essentials
one
and
second.
Flutter. Yeah.
Yeah, the shared on the comment section.
Okay,
Yeah, continue.
so you all can access the link from the chat box. So after creating an account, you have to visit the link which is pinned in chat box. After opening the link, you have to make sure that you open the link in incognito mode to make sure you get fit that credits. And after opening the link in incognito mode, you will be asked to log in with your account which you created just now. After logging in with your account, you have to click on enroll in quest. After clicking on enroll in quest, you have to start the first lab. And after starting the first lab, you have to click on start the lab and click on use subscription. And after starting that lab, you have to wait for at least 5 minutes before clicking on end lab. So after attending the lab for 5 minutes, you will be given access to these. You will be given access for 10 months, 10 days, which is till 1st of May. So after okay, so that's it for how to accessing the Flutter and Darts lab. So these are the few labs which are provided by Google. I hope my screen is visible. Okay. So this is the Dart Essentials Lab. So there are a few labs in Dart Essentials Quest, which is the first lab is Introduction to Dart Programming Language. The second lab is variables, data structures, objects and conditional loops, etc. in Dart. The third language is using functions with list and map to handle JSON data. The fourth lab is abstract functionality with classes. These are the labs which we'll be covering in today's session. We'll try to cover 2 to 3 labs from the Dart Essentials. As you can see, you have after following the steps properly, you will get free access to these labs till 1st May. So you can learn Dart and Flutter at your own pace from anywhere. So now the other one is Flutter Essentials. Uh, in this, there are various topics covered about the Flutter basics. The first one is Flutter Quick Start. Here you will be gaining gaining knowledge about Flutter basics and creating a one-screen application. In the second lab, you will build a two-screen Flutter application. And in other labs, you will be learning how to handle data in Flutter applications and uh, and how to handle navigation in Flutter application. So the third one is Flutter Development. In this quest, there are several labs which you can see which you can see the topics, which is getting started with Flutter, Flutter Startup Namer application. You will learn about material components in Flutter. You will learn how to connect your web and how to connect your web with Firebase authentication. Firebase is a backend which is developed by Google. You can use it for signing purpose and storing data of your application online, and you will learn more about Dart and functions framework. So the last one is Google Cloud. In this workshop, you will learn basics of Google Cloud server, and you will learn how to create a Linux virtual machine using Google Cloud. You will learn how to create a Windows virtual machine, and you will learn how to use the Cloud Shell, which is the online shell provided by Google. So as we discussed, we will be covering Dart Essentials Lab today. So let's get started. So after successfully creating the account, you have to visit the given link. As you can see on screen, the link is given, which is also pinned in your chat box. So let's start the lab. So I have opened a link which is given in chat box, that is Dart Essentials. So this is how the Google Cloud Skill Boost platform looks like. After opening the link, you will see there are different labs. The first lab is Introduction to Dart. You will be given access to this lab for 1 hour and 30 minutes. So you can complete the lab. The second one is variables, data structure, and objects and conditional loops. Will be given access for 1.5 hour for completing the lab, and the others which we just discussed. So if after opening this link, you have to click on your my account button, and if you see it's written monthly subscription. So if you properly followed all the steps, excuse me. So if you followed all the steps which are previously mentioned, then it will show that then you will get a monthly subscription, which is till 1st May. So let's start with the first lab, that is Introduction to Dart. So this is how the introduction. So this is how the lab looks like. The first one is the heading. You will see a button to start the lab, and this will show the timer in which you have to complete the lab. And here it will show the checkpoints. So if you complete the lab successfully, you will get 10 points, and you can click this button to ensure that you have completed the lab. Completed the lab. Okay. Okay, so let's start the lab. For starting the lab, you have to click here. After starting the lab, you have to click on use subscription, which you are given by Google for free till 1st May. So as you can see, it is saying that provisioning lab resources, estimated time required 4 minutes. So It will take around 4 minutes, so you just have to wait, and the lab will be available for you to perform. Also, if you check this page, it's as you can see, I have completed all the labs. So if you successfully complete the lab, you will see a check mark to the left side of the name of the lab. And if you complete all the check marks, you can see that I have got a badge which is that you have completed this quest. And and this badge will be added to my account. So till it's provisioning the lab resources, let's check out the overview. So Dart is a client-optimized language for developing fast apps on any platform. Its goal is to offer the most productive programming language for multi-platform development, paired with a flexible execution runtime platform of app frameworks. So while performing lab at your home, you have to read everything. So it will make sure that you get proper knowledge of Dart and Flutter. So what you will learn in this specific lab, it is variables, flow control, and functions. Prerequisites. And as this is the introduction to Dart, you won't require any major skills. If you have any general idea of any OP based programming language, that is more than enough. Okay, so we will wait for 2 minutes. Also, we will be taking Q&A sessions in the end of this session. So make sure you watch till the end. So as you can see, the lab resources are provided. If you can see, they have given a link to IDE, which where we will be writing our Dart code. This is a live server. As of now, we won't require the live server. We will just require this link IDE. You have to click on this button, which is copy. Open new tab on your browser. Click on paste and open that link. So after opening that link, you might be familiar with this UI, which is this is VS Code. So Google has provided you virtual VS Code server where you can code and learn that language. So this is the first startup screen. You can choose a theme which you would prefer. So let's okay. So this is the theme I prefer. After setting your theme, you will go back to the lab again. Okay. So after setting your theme, you have to so these labs are all read and perform type labs. So it says go to the editor section and click on source control. After clicking on source control, you have to click on clone repository. Then you have to follow the link. You have to enter the following link. So let's do this. So this is the source control button, and as they asked us to click on clone repository, let's click it, and you have to paste the given link. After hitting enter, you will see you can see the part to your IDE. After clicking, you have to hit enter. So after cloning the repository to your VS Code, it will ask if you would like to open the clone repository. You have to click open. So now we'll be learning how to write your first program, which is Hello World program using Dart programming language. So they are asking us to create a new file which is named as hello-world.dart, and you have to add the following code. You can also copy paste, or if you and you can just type it yourself. So let's see. If I want to copy, you have to click here. After so VS Code is asking us if you want to use the recommended VS Code settings for that info. You have to hit enter to avoid errors. Also, you have to click on get packages. So that will set up your ID for Flutter or and that. After clicking those options, you have to click this option which is new file, and you have to create new file which was named, which they asked us to name as hello world dash dot hello world dot dart. And you have to paste the code which you just copied from the lab link. Okay. So after copying the code, after pasting the code, you have to click Control S to save the code. And after saving the code, you will see two options which are run and debug. So after clicking run, the server will compile the code and show you the output. If you see any errors like errors exist in your project, just ignore, as these errors are related to Flutter, so it's not scope of this session. You have to click on debug anyway. So after the code is compiled, you will see the output which is hello world. So let's understand this code. So so print is a function which is defined in the Dart library, which is used for printing strings, numbers, and other data. So let's see if I want to. So as I wanted to type print a string to the console, you have to use single quotes. So let's see if I want to print my name. I will write print in single quotes. I will write my name. Then at the end of the line, you have to enter a semicolon. A semicolon in Dart ensures that a line is completed. So after writing your code and adding semicolon, you have to click Control S, hit Control S, and click on Run. It will again suggest you that there are some errors. You have to just click on debug anyway and ignore it. So if you can see, my name is printed. So if I wanted to print any numbers or integers, I will just type print directly numbers. So if you want to print string, then you have to enter the string in single quotes. If you directly want to print any numbers, integer, decimal numbers, you just have to provide the value to the function. So let's run this. If you can see, the number is successfully printed. Okay, so we just wrote our first program, which is hello world program in Dart programming language. Now we will learn more about variables. So there are different types of variables in Dart. The first one is integer, the second is double, third is strings, and fourth is Boolean. Integer are similar to what you learn in maths. So double are so double are yeah, so double is a data type which is used to store decimal numbers. They are also known as high precision number integers. So the third one is strings. String is nothing but a collection of characters. Fourth is Boolean. Boolean variable is used to store only two values, which is true and false, true or false. So let's learn about integers. So we'll create a new file which is named as hello-integer.dart. Let's create a new file. For creating a new file, you will see a file icon with a plus sign at the bottom. You have to click it, enter the name of your file, hit enter. After doing that, a new file will be created. Now let's copy the code. After copying the code, yeah, you have to paste the code. So after pasting the code, you can see that you can see the run and debug option. So let's understand this code. So for creating a variable whose type is integer, you have to use the keyword int. Let's say I want to store my age in a variable of int. So for creating a variable of data type int, I will write the keyword int followed by the name of your variable. Let's assume I want to store my age, so I will type age, which is the name of the variable, equal to sign, and add the number. Let's okay. And as we discussed, you have to add semicolon at the end of your line, or the program won't compile. Okay, so this is how you add so this is how you create a variable of type integer. So if you, as you can see, we already got a code which has created a variable known as max number of people whose data type is int, and the value assigned to max number of people is 35. So if you want to print as we discussed the print function, you can print the number of people you can print number of people using this. Okay, let's see. So okay, let's assume I want to print my age. I can write this syntax. You will use single quotes for typing printing the strings. My age is and if you want to print the age here, you will use dollar sign. Dollar sign refers to variable in your function. So you can use a dollar sign, and as you can see, the VS Code is suggesting us that there are two integers. So as I want to print age, I will select age and add semicolon at the end and hit run. You have to click debug anyway. Okay, so this is how you create integer variable and print those in Dart. This is so let's learn about double. Let's create a new file. Okay, it's there is no need to create new file. As you can see, it is completely similar to how we created integers. Instead of the int keyword, you are using double keyword here. So if you store our double value in an integer variable, it will throw errors. So to avoid that, you should always use double if you want to store decimal numbers. So in this code, they have created a variable named as piece of pie, and they have stored the value 3.124, and they have printed in the same way that we did for integers. This is about string. We already okay. So this is the code for string. For creating a string variable, you will use the keyword string, and you should check that the in the string variable the s should be capital. If you don't capitalize the first letter, it will throw errors. So they have created a string variable which is named as get course name, and they have stored Flutter Bootcamp 21 in it. They have used the double quotes, but you can also use single quotes for storing the integer. And for printing, they have used the print function. So this is Boolean. Okay, as we discussed, Boolean is a type of variable which can store either true value or false value. So for creating a variable whose type is Boolean, you will use the keyword bool, bool. Followed by that, you will add the name of your variable and enter the value that you have to store. In this case, they have stored the value true, and they have printed the value. So they have used a print function, and they have used a single quotes for printing the string. And if you want to print any if you want to print the data of any variable, you will use the dollar keyword. So is that cool is a variable which we just defined, and if I wanted to use that inside a string, you will use the dollar keyword. So let's try this. I will create a new file name, bool dash hello dash bool dot and save the code and click on run. Click on debug anyway. As you can see, hello true is printed. So let's see, we will see what will happen if I remove the dollar keyword. So as you can see, I have removed the dollar keyword, and the color of is that cool has changed from blue to orange. So let's run it now. As you can see, if I remove the dollar keyword, it is just printing the string which is that cool. But as I told you, if you want to print the value of that variable, you have to use a dollar sign. If you are familiar with Python, you might have understood it easily for in the first time. Okay, so I have added dollar sign again. Let's add another variable which is bool is flutter good equal to true, and let's print comma. I will, if I wanted to print the value of this variable, I will first use the dollar sign, then followed by the variable name dollar sign, then I will add the variable name which is flutter good. Okay, after adding that, you will just save the code with control s and click on run. As you can see, it printed the value of a second variable which we set as true. If I change it to false, it will print false. Okay, as you can see, it printed false. So let's check. Okay, so let's learn about the flow control. So what are if statements? So we use if statements in a program if you want to check specific condition and perform specific code. If that condition is true, if that condition is true. Okay, so let's create this file and add the following code. Okay, if you see this squiggly lines, and you can just ignore it as of now. So in this code, we have created a new variable which is that cool, and we have set the value to false. So and now we have created a new if condition. So what this does is it checks so for creating a if condition, you will use the if keyword, and in brackets you have to add the condition. So it will check if is that cool. So if the variable if the value of this variable is true, it will perform the following code. Else it won't do anything. So let's run this code. So as we set the is dart cool to false, In the third line, it checked if is dart is cool. As we set the value of is dart to false, it just skipped the line and exited the program. So if I change the is dart cool to true, let's see. Okay, and I'll save it and run it. So as you can see, as the condition is true, the if keyword checked if is dart is cool or not, and as we change the value of is dart cool to true, um, this condition got true and it printed the line hello is dart cool. So that's how you write if statement in Dart. So now let's learn about if else statement. So these are if else statements. So we use if else statements for checking the multiple conditions. If one condition is set to false, it will execute the other condition. Okay, let's copy and run this. Okay, I've pasted the code and I'm running this. Okay, as you can see, is dart cool is set to false. It will first check if is dart is equal to true, and if is dart value is true, it will print this line, and if is dart value is false, it will go to the else block of the code and it will print this line. So as you can see, the is dart cool is by default set to false, so it printed the second line, which is him. I think that is pretty cool. If I change this to true and run the code again, it will print hello true. So as you can see, if the condition is matched, it will print this line. If the condition is not matched, it will print this line. So that's it. So let's talk about functions. So functions are a piece of code which are used to perform some task in any programming language. We write functions usually when there are some lines which we want to repeat continuously or which can be used later in a program. So now we'll learn how to declare a function and return type, add function parameters, and set a return statement. So let's create a new Dart file and copy the following code. So we'll create another function which is okay, no need of there. Okay. So for creating a function in Dart, you will use the following syntax. You will first write the return type followed by the function name, curly open close bracket, which is used for passing parameters. Then the actual code you will write in open and close curly braces. So as you can see, the return type of function is Boolean, and they have named the function as is dart cool function, and a function always ends with the open and closed parenthesis. And for writing the actual block of the function, you will use the open curly brace and close curly brace. Inside them, you will write the block of code of the function. So they have added two lines, which is they have created a new boolean, which is dart cool, and set it to true, and they have written the is dart cool. So what is return? So return is a keyword in Dart which is used to return something from the function. So in the following code, the Google has created a function which is function which is named as is dart cool function, in which they have defined a is dart cool variable, and they have written is dart cool. So and as the value of this variable is set to true, return is dart cool will return the value true to this function when this function is called. So and and functions can be written in anywhere in the program, and you can call them inside the main function or any other class, etc. So they have defined this function, and this is the main block, main function of your Dart language. In the main function, they have you have created a new variable which is Dart cool, and you have called the is Dart cool function, which is defined here. So what this line will do is, as is that cool function is returning a boolean value, this function will return a boolean value, and that boolean value is stored in this variable which is that cool. So and as in our function it is returning is that cool, and it is set to true. True is saved in is that cool variable. So and we have used the if else block to check and print the following statements. So if is that is set to is if that cool is true, this will print this line. If is that cool variable is false, it will print this line. So let's run it and test it. So as you can see, hello true is printed as is that cool is saved with true. Let's assume if I make the value of boolean from function to false and run the code. Okay, so let's run it. As you can see, it has printed. I think that is pretty cool. That's because um, this is the function which we define, and there is one variable whose value is false, and this value is written by the function. So when this function is called, this will return a false value, and that false value is stored in is that cool variable, whose type is boolean. So it will go to this line. It will check if is that is cool, and as our is that cool variable is set to false, it will skip this line and it will go to else block, and will print this line, which is I think that is pretty cool. So that's it for the for function. Yeah. So as you can see, we have just completed the first lab, which is introduction to Dart. After completing, you will see you can click on check my progress. This is used to check if you have successfully completed the lab or not. After clicking check on progress, if you see tick, then you have successfully completed the lab. You can click here and view your score. So I got 10 out of 10 score. So it means I have completed the lab. You will also get a congratulations message that you have completed the lab. So as I've completed, I will end the lab here. After completing the lab, you will also close the link, the VS Code link which was provided. Okay. As you can see, we just completed this lab. So if you to complete this lab, you will see a green tick mark to the left of this lab. So let's start the second lab. Same as usual, you will click on start lab and click on use subscription. As you can see, it didn't took time, and it provided us the resources, which is the VS Code ID online. You have to click on the copy button here, open new tab, paste the link and hit enter. So as this link it is opening, we will check out the other quest. So as we discussed, there are many other labs which are provided by Google. This is the Flutter Essentials Lab. uh, uh, in this lab you will there are different labs, which is Flutter Quick Start, Builder, Two Screen Flutter application. So and this is how it looks. So before starting the Flutter Essentials Lab, I would recommend you to complete these all the four labs which are provided here, Dart Essentials, so that you will be able to understand Flutter properly. So this is how the Flutter lab looks like. If you open it, you will be provided with the similar instructions which we just followed. We won't start this lab as of now, as we are completing the introduction data essentials lab now. Okay, so this the our VRS code provided by Google is ready, so you can choose the theme which you want. I'm keeping the same theme as of now. Okay, the topic of this lab is variable flow control and classes. So as you will click on source control, click on clone repository, copy the link and paste it and hit enter. So let's do it. Click on this button which is source control. Click on clone repository. Control V to paste the link which you just copied. Hit enter. After hitting enter, you will see the following path. This path is nothing but the location of your data. Then again hit enter. After hitting enter, you will see it has started cloning. It will ask you, would you like to open the clone repository? You should click open. It will again ask you if you want to use the recommended VS Code settings for Dart and Flutter. You will click yes. Okay. It is asking you some packages are missing out of date. Would you like to get it? Just click get packages. And if you don't like VS Code and if you want to practice Dart programming language, then there is another thing called Dartpad, which is made by Google to where you can test your Dart code. So let's check it out. You have to click on go to new tab, type dartpad.dev tab and hit enter. So if you hit enter, you will see this screen. So this is called as Dartpad. On the left side is the editor, which where you can write Dart language code. Let's say I'm creating a new main function and printing my name. So as you can see in the left side of the page, you can type your Dart code. If you want to run, you have to just click. Okay, I forgot semicolon. If you forgot something, the Dartpad will help you understand the errors and learn Flutter. After writing the code, you can click run. Okay, if the code is successfully compiled, you will see the output on console as you are seeing in VS Code. So if you find VS Code hard, then you can just you use this website called as dartpad.dev, which is officially developed by Google for testing the Dart code. Okay, so we already created a hello world Dart, so we won't do it again. Okay, we will learn about different variables now, which are constant, final, list, and maps in Dart language. So let's copy this code. Okay, create a new file using the plus using the plus sign. Name your file as hello-const.dart. As you can see, dart is the extension of your file. As you know, in other programming languages, each and every programming language has specific extension. For Python you use .py, for Java you use .java while saving your code. For C++ you use .cpp. For Dart you will use .dart at the end of every file. Okay, so after entering the name of your file, hit enter. This will create a Dart file. Okay, let's copy and paste this code. Okay, after copying and pasting, click on save, then the run and debug option is visible. Let's run this code. Click on debug anyway, just ignore the errors as of now. As you can see, hello 7 is printed. So let's understand the code. So constant is a keyword in Dart which is used to define constant. If you know maths, we usually use different constant, like the value of pi is a constant which will never change. So in a program there might be some variables whose value will never change throughout the program. So during so if there are some variables whose value will never change in a program, you will use the constant keyword. So if you use the constant keyword behind the if you use a constant keyword while declaring a variable, you won't be able to change the value of that variable later. So if I want to create a constant, I will use the constant keyword followed by the data type of the variable. Let's see if I want to create a variable um, age. So age will so as you know, we write age in numbers. So for creating a age variable, I will use the int data type, and as we know, int is used for storing numbers. So there might be different data types as you require. So maybe if I want to store a pi, I will use double here. So I will use if so okay, so let's try. Const is the keyword used for declaring a constant in that, followed by the data type. Let's assume it is double here for storing the pi value. Pi is equal to 3.14. Okay. Okay, so this is how you create a constant in Dart language. And let's see if I can change the value of pi. Okay, so if I want to change the value of variable, similar to other programming languages, I will write the name of the variable first and write the new value. Okay, pi equal to, let's assume the pi value changes to 3.16. Okay, in real life it is not possible. We are just trying. Okay. Okay, as you can see, I tried to change the value of constant, and it is giving me a red squiggly lines. So if you hover your cursor over the red line, it will show the error. So let's read it. It says constant variables can't be assigned a value. As I told you, if you define a constant, you can never change the value of that variable later. So so as you can see, I can't change the value of this variable, so I have to delete it. If I run the program, the it won't run. It will. Okay, let's click on table. Okay, as it's you can see the error, and it didn't properly compare. It is saying I can't assign I can't assign to the constant variable pi. So let's delete this line and run it. Debugging. As you can see, I'm not getting any errors now, and it printed hello 7. So so by default there was this line constant integer days in week. As you know, days in week would never change, so the Flutter decided to define this as constant, and it later printed using the print function. As we discussed, it used the dollar sign to print the data of variable. So this is what is constant in Dart language. This is final. Okay. Final is okay. Let's try this. I won't create another file. I'll just delete this and I'll paste. Okay, paste the code. So as you can see, so let's talk about final. So what is final? So final is similar to constant. We use final or constant keyword when you want to define a variable whose value will never change in a program. So you may have the question that why there are two different types like final and constant. Why can't we use? When should we use either one of them? So we'll talk about it. So constant is constant. If you define a variable with constant keyword, it is compiled during the value of that variable is assigned during the compile time, and you can't change later. In case of final, after compiling you may create a final you may create a final variable once, and you may assign a value to it later after during the program execution. So that's the difference between constant and final. If you are getting confused as of now, you may just ignore it and you will learn more about it later. the syntax is similar to constant. You are the only change is the keyword here. For defining final, you will use the final keyword. If you want to learn more about constant and final, as you can see, there is a hyperlink attached here. You can just right click and click on open in new tab. So this is the Dart developer official website. You will learn more about final and constant here. If you are stuck anywhere and if you want to learn about any other things in Dart, you can also refer this website. Okay, let's go to the list. So what is list? If you are familiar with C++ or Java, you might have heard about arrays. So what are arrays? So what are arrays is nothing but a collection of similar types of objects, or you can say data. So okay, so in Dart, list is nothing but arrays. In list, you can store a data of similar type. And also, if you are familiar with Python, in Python you also have list which you can use to store the data of similar types. Okay, now let's learn how to create list in Dart. We will create a new file in Dart. So instead of creating new file, I will be using the Dart pad which I just showed you before, and I will paste code here. Okay. So where is the okay? So what I did now is I just copied this code using the copy button and pasted in dartpad.developer website. As I told you, it is online editor which can be used for testing your Dart Dart programs. Okay. Also, as we discussed, Dart list is used for storing data of similar type. For defining the list in Dart, you will use the list keyword, and in and after adding the list keyword, if you can see, the L should be capital, else it will throw many errors. After typing the list keyword, you will use the sign. You will use the less than and greater than operator for adding the type of data in your list. So let's assume if I want to create a list of numbers. For creating a list of numbers, I will create a list, and inside those two greater than and less than sign, I will type int, which will tell Flutter that I want to create a list whose data type is integer, which will store all the which will store all the integers. Let's see. Let's create a list name numbers. After writing this, you will write the name of your list. After this, you will write equal to operator and open and close the bracket. And for adding the numbers, you can just add numbers by like this, and separate them with comma. 3, 4, 5. Okay. And at the end, just add semicolon. Okay, you can just ignore this. So this is how you create list in Dart. And they have created a list of string, whose the name of list is name of the week, and in that list you have stored the name of the days in week, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. So as you can see, if you want to store the string, you will use the string keyword inside the greater than and less than operator, and you will use the single quotes to store the string. So this is how you create a list. So let's learn how to print a list now. So if I want to print a list of numbers, I will just use the print function followed by the open and close bracket, as and in that I will write the name of our list. The name of our list is numbers, so I will just pass the name of our list. At the end, add semicolon and hit okay. Let's just comment it as of now, as I don't want to print it. Okay. So this line will Okay, so as you can see, the console printed the list of numbers which we created before. So also there Dart provides us with different functions, like you can get the length of list, etc. So let's get the length of so let's assume in a program, if you the list is so long and you want to know the length of that list, you can use a dot length function which is available in a Dart library. So let's get the length of your numbers list. I will use print function. In bracket I will write numbers dot l e length, add semicolon to the end, and hit run. Okay, so I missed s, so it gave me error. You have to enter proper list name. Okay, as you can see, there are four elements in our list, which is 1 3 5 6, and it printed the length of our list, which is 4. So that's it for list. If you want to learn more about list and various other functions from of the list, you can use the dart.developer website. There are many different guides available here. As you can see, there are built-in that you can learn more about list here and their functions. So let's continue with our lab. Okay, here is lab. So we'll just learned about list. Okay, now let's learn about maps. So let's talk about maps. So what are maps? Yeah, if you think map is what you use daily, the Google Maps, no, it's not that. If you have used a dictionary before, you may know that the name in dictionary, this is how the format is. First is the name of the word which you want to search in dictionary, and then in front of it is the actual meaning of that word. So you can refer map to similar. So you can think of map as similar to dictionary. Also as phone book. In phone book, what you do is you write the name of the person, and save the name of that specific person. So if you want to create a similar data type, you can use the maps. So let's learn more about maps here. I'll just delete all the code and paste the new code and click on run. Okay, for creating a map, I will use first the you can use the var keyword, which defines variable, and the name of the map which you want to create equal to sign. Then you will use a new keyword. A new keyword is used to allocate memory of type map. So map, you can say, is a class which is defined in Dart library, which is used to create a variable. You can create an object which can store the value such as key and variable, like we discussed in dictionary and phone book. So here they are creating a map whose name is days in week. Yeah. So let's learn now how to store the data in our map. Okay, so if I want to store data in our map, you have to make sure that there are two things in map. First one is key, and the other one is value. So if you want to create, you will use the name of your map, followed by the open and close square bracket, followed by the key. So for example, the key here is 0, and for 0 I'm assigning the value sun. I'm creating another key value pair, which is the key is 1 and the value set to Monday. You can create similar key value pairs, and then they have printed the following map. As you can see, if you print, you will see the map as follows: 0 is assigned to a value of sun, 1 is assigned to a value of month, 2 is assigned to a value of Tuesday. So this is how you create a map in Dart. So now let's learn about loop. So we use loop. We use loops if we want to repeat uh, if you want to repeat a specific instruction in our program. So there are two ways which you can do this. If I want to repeat a few lines in the program, you can just copy paste the lines and write it the number of times you want to repeat it. Else we can just simply use the loops which are provided by Dart for printing a specific line or specific lines for some number of times. So we will learn more about for loop now. Let's copy the code, and I'll copy the paste here. Okay. Instead of this, we'll create a new code. Okay, I will create a new. Okay, I hope this is visible. Sorry if it was not visible before. If you want, I'll create a new variable of type integer now. For that, I will use the int keyword, and let's have I'm going to name the name as a equal to, I will store 10 in it. Use a semicolon to complete that line, and I will use the for loop. So let's assume I want to print all the numbers from 1 to 10. For that, there are two options. You can write print statement 10 times, like print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, up to print 10. Instead of that, I will use for loop and show you how to do that. For that, for creating for loop, you will use the for keyword followed by the open close parenthesis. In that, I will define a counter. Let's create a new counter which is int I, and I will store the value to 0. After that, I will use a semicolon to separate it, and I will use the looping condition. Let's I will give the loop condition when I is less than 10. Hit use the semicolon again, and give the next instruction, which is increment the I. And in open close curly bracket, I will write the thing that I have to repeat. I want to print the value of is less than okay. Print I. So let's run, and then I'll explain the code. So as you can see, it printed the numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So how this works? So initially the integer I was set to 0, and we gave the condition that till I is less than a, what we will do, we will print I, then increment the value of I, then increment the value of I, then again print I. We will check if I is less than a. If it is true, we will print I, increment I, and this will go on continuously till the value of I is not if till the value of I is less than a. So as you can see, the value of I became 9. Then it checked if I is less than the value of I became 9. After 9, it was incremented to 10. Then it checked if the value of I is less than a, and as 10 is not less than a, the program exited and it stopped printing the numbers to the console. So this is how for loop works. You can also try this code. So now it is the while statement. This is while loop. Okay. And there is another thing you can notice. If you want to use a while loop, you have to know for the how many times you want to repeat this instruction. In case of okay, let's learn about while loop. They have created a new boolean which is set to true. They have created an integer which is set to 0, um, and they have used a while loop. So this is how you create while loop. We will use the while keyword, open and close parenthesis. Then you will use the condition, and then in open and close curly braces, you will write the code that you want to actually repeat. So so they give the condition that while loop flag is equal to true, you will repeat the following code. So after so if the loop flag is true, it will go inside of this block. It will check if I is less than or equal to 4. If it is true, it will print I. Then it will increment the value of I by 1. I plus is simply it is increasing the value of I by 1. If you prefer, you can also write this I plus equal to 1. This is also doing the same job as above. or you can just write I is equal to I plus 1 if you want simplicity. Okay, so if the value of I is not less than 4, it will go to else block and it will set the loop flag to false. Then after performing these 4 to 5 instructions, it will again check if loop flag is true. If the loop flag is true, it will again execute the code, and if the loop flag is false, it will not execute the code and exit the program. So let's check the output of this code. So as you can see, we will debug this. Okay, initially the value of I was 0 and loop flag was set to 2. It went to this code. It checked if the loop flag is set to true, and as the loop flag is set to true, it went inside this if block. It first checked if a value of I is less than 4. As initially we set the value of I to 0, um, this condition got true, and this will print this print with the value of I. It printed this line, then it incremented the value of I to 1. Now the value of I has become to 1, and it exited the program, exited this 4 lines. And now it will check again if the loop flag is true. As the loop flag is true, it will check now the value of I. Now the now the one now either now the value of I is set to 1, and it is true, it will again print the value of I, which is 1. Again it will increment, and it will do this till the value of I is not less than or equal to 4. And if the value of I goes to 5, it will go to the else block, and it will set the loop flag to false. After this, it will again go to this block, this line. It will check if loop flag is set to true, and as it changed to false, it won't execute further, and it will exit this while block, and the loop will end. As you can see, the code printed hello 0, hello world, hello 3 4, and then it exited the program. So this is how while loop works in Dart. So now let's learn. I hope this. Okay, so this is the last section of this lab, which is classes. In this you will learn. So what are classes? So classes is nothing but a blueprint. Okay. If you are familiar with other programming language, you may understand classes very easily. So okay. You can assume car as one class. Okay, so let's assume a car as a class. So car is a class. And class can have various methods and variables. So so as we assume the car class, a car class may have some variables like the color of the car, the number of like, okay, the color of the car and other specifications of that car as variables, and the features of car as the functions of that car. So this is what is class basically. If you want to know more about class in depth, you can refer the dart.dev website. So we will create a new class of Flutter developer. So for creating a class in Dart, you will use the class keyword followed by the name of the class that you want to create. Then you will use the open close curly braces for creating class. Inside that, which it is the constructor. A constructor is a function or method, you can say, which is used to initialize an object. So if which means uh, when I create an object of that class, the constructor is invoked, and it will initialize the variables. So the Flutter developer has the Flutter team has created the constructor, and they have printed I am Flutter developer to the console. So in main method, when I create a object of this Flutter developer, it will print I am Flutter developer. So to create object of class, you will use the var keyword. Var means the value can be changed later. Then the name of the object. Let's say object one equal to We will use a new keyword to create a new object and the name of the class. Flutter dev, then open close curly open close parenthesis. At the end, I will semicolon. As you can see, I am Flutter developer is printed. So what happened actually behind the scenes is this new Flutter dev created a new object of type of class Flutter developer. And as I told, when the new object is created, it will first call this method, which is who you can see that the name of this method or function is similar to that of the class name. After creating the object of the object of some any class, the constructor is called. So as this method is called automatically, it printed this line, which is I am Flutter developer. As we created two objects which are named as object one and type of developer, these two lines were printed. Okay, so this is another class example with parameters. Okay, let's paste it here. Okay, so this is similar to what we did previously, but we are passing parameters to our constructor. So what is parameters? Uh, so for passing the parameters, we inside the open and close parentheses, we will first type the data type of the parameters which we are going to pass, and then the name of the variable which we are passing. So inside the print, what this code is doing is asking is when we are creating a new object of class Flutter developer, you have to pass a variable whose type is string. And when this object is created, it will print I am dollar name is the will be the value of the variable which you pass while creating an object. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, this is creating a new object of class for Flutter Dev, and as we discussed, we have to pass a variable, or we have to pass a variable or data of string. As we pass Jamie here and run, so what it did is it created a new object of Flutter developer and it passed Jamie to the constructor. So Jamie was passed here, and while printing I am hash name, as we passed Jamie, it took the Jamie and and printed Jamie to the console and Flutter developer the remaining string. So this is how you use the parameters in your constructors and class. Okay, as we can see, we have completed the lab successfully. I will just click on check my progress to check if I have successfully completed. Okay, if you see tick mark, then you have completed the lab. Also, 10 marks are added or score. Lab completion. Okay, so, okay, that's it for this lab, and we'll end this lab. So if you successfully complete this lab, you will get a tick mark here. So that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, you may ask in chat box. Also, after gaining access, which we discussed earlier, you can start completing these labs and learn more about that. And in the later sessions, which will most likely will be tomorrow and day after tomorrow you will learn on how to create Flutter applications actually. So if you have any questions, you can ask in chat box.
Sanket is asking, are arrays like lists and tuples in Python?
So Python, yeah, list and tuples are already available in Python. So if you're talking about the Dart programming language, In if you want to use arrays, you can simply use the list, and if you want to use tuples, you can import it and use it. So basically it is available in Flutter too, Flutter or Dart too.
I guess there are no more questions. Uh, it was
Okay,
pretty clear.
so thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back with another great session for you all.
Thank you, Vinay, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It was great session, and I would like to thank our audience, all the students in the session. Please fill the feedback cum certificate form. Thank you.